Yeah. So yeah, I would like to welcome you on my first stream. So yeah, I've already reached out to many flat earthers. I myself have been one for past 10 years. I've been looking and yeah, watching a lot of you guys. So I eventually felt the need to talk to the most prominent figures in this area and understand their different thoughts on that.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you're the first. So I'm happy for that. Thank you.
Happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you. So Mark, yeah. To be frank, I watched like probably 50 to 100 videos of yours, all your interviews. So I'm well aware about how you got into flat Earth and all the great work that you have done in terms of the initial clues that you posted. So so I would like to like know your opinion on other prominent flat earthers. Like, what do you feel in terms of the contribution they are doing and whom you agree with most, or I mean the work that you appreciate, be it Eric Dubé or Nathan Oakley's flat earth debate. So
Right.
there are many others. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you just want me to pick just flat earthers that I follow, other
Right.
people?
Yeah, sure.
Whoa. Okay. In terms of there's so many different works out there. Like for example, street activism. I always enjoy people that do street activism. I that have done it more than me. Nathan Thompson, who was in Behind the Curve, he was great.
Right.
And of course Austin Whitsitt, who up until the Antarctica thing was amazing when it came to debates. He could absolutely floor. I wouldn't want to go into a debate with
Right.
Austin Whitsitt. He was absolutely awesome. Of course, Nathan Oakley does great stuff. Nonstop. He's done so many shows, and he just keeps the fires burning. And I love what he did over in the UK. And I was happy that I could help with the whole Vice interview that he did years ago.
Right.
Um, uh, Hibbler Productions, Sean Hibbler,
Right.
who's also a big Eric Dubay fan. Uh, he does amazing work. Love what he's done. Eric Dubay, by the way, I've said over the years, I have no problem with his content. Eric Dubay just got himself into trouble because he's got some issues with certain groups, demographic groups, and he should not mix that with flat Earth. You want to make solid flat Earth channel, great. Just don't get into. What I try to tell people, like, look, keep the politics out of it. Whatever your beliefs are, if you want to do it on a separate channel. So David Weiss, of course, does great stuff. All the people that I met at the conference this year down in Quartzsite, Arizona, were fantastic. I follow as many people as I can when it comes to flat Earth, just to see what everybody's doing. I love testing the temperature of the room. I wish more women would get into it, but then again, even nowadays, it's tough to be a woman on the internet making content because you're judged on multiple levels, and women just get picked on a lot more, and therefore they drop out a lot. There are a lot of, which is funny because there's a lot of women in flat Earth. You go to conferences, at least 40% of the audience is female,
Right.
and yet very few of them. Name me a single female content creator in the flat Earth community that's got over 50,000 subs. They don't exist.
Right.
Because it's just so tough to break in, and they get attacked. They get trolled. Women get trolled just for making a channel anyway. So, like for example, when you commented, you say, "Oh, hey, I put my phone number out there and I put all my information out there." And I've had people ask me that for years. I've done that for years, by the way. When the internet was new, I was doing that, and I remember I had a group of women call me up and just ask, a bunch of college girls. And it's like, why do you put your numbers? I go, because I'm a guy. Guys can do that. Women, to this day, 2026, still cannot do that. Women cannot put their phone number out on the internet. They will get called in the middle of the night by drunk guys just because they can.
Right. Yeah, that risk is always there. Yeah.
Yeah, always, always, always. And yeah, never, ever, if you're a woman, never put your address out there.
Right.
Anyway, so hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. That's
But I
that's
mean, if there's anyone specific you want to ask me about, please throw them at me, and
right.
I'll comment. I think I've got an opinion on just about any of them.
Right, yeah. So I think right now we see few people, at least most of the flat earthers, they definitely agree it's not a spinning ball, right? But within flat earth, again, there are so many different models. Like some say it's just level and stationary, and some say
Right.
it's level and stationary and it's moving upwards with a constant speed. Right,
Not that many feel that way,
right,
by the way. When it comes to the whole acceleration, what is it, 9 meters per second or whatever it is,
right,
it the flying asteroid in space. There's not that many of them, believe it or not. The biggest difference when it comes to models is dome versus no dome, which and most of that comes down to the personality type. 70%, give or take, believe that we're in some sort of snow globe model with a dome.
right,
And the other 30% think we're in some sort of model without a dome, but that's just because they like the whole infinite plane thing. It's like, fine, you want an infinite plane, fine, but you're gonna have to have a dome to deal with the atmosphere at some point.
you're
If you
right.
don't, then you got a problem, because again, straight up physics, gas cannot exist next to, pressure cannot exist to non-pressure without some sort of barrier,
Right.
unless it's a simulation. And even then, in a simulation, you're still going to make a barrier.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a digital barrier. You're programming it.
yeah,
Right.
you're going to program it. I mean, every simulation we've ever made, you have to have a confined space.
Right.
And what I try to remind people is, when it comes to simulations, it's all right angles, because computers can't do curves. You can simulate a curve, but the pixel itself is still right angles.
Right.
And so all you do is you make tiny, tiny, tiny pixels. I mean, if you're old enough to remember the old games, well, hell, Minecraft, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Minecraft is so blocky and chunky, but it's like, no, they do that because it's easy. You don't have to even, it's easy on the machine. You don't have to render much. The resolution can be way, way down.
Right,
Anyway,
right, yeah. So even up until recently, I used to believe like not many flat earthers believe in that upward acceleration, but
yeah.
yeah, I recently stumbled upon another street activist by the name Level-Headed William. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Yeah, so yeah, he sets up a desk and chair on the streets, most probably near universities, I guess. Yeah, and
Hmm.
and he tries to lure people into talking to him by saying like, "Are you smarter than fifth grader?" So yeah, he was pretty much making good points, but yeah, in his experiment, he says there has to be some kind of upward force for a helium balloon to go rise up, and for that, yeah, I've sent out a mail to him. I would like to talk to him and understand more from
I
his
mean,
point of view.
you can go that way if you want. What I try to tell people, because most of the community will say, well, that gravity is a myth, and it's like, fine, gravity doesn't act on its own, right?
Right.
Because of buoyancy and density. I mean, buoyancy and density exist. We all know that, but you still have to have some sort of electromagnetic or static force that still pulls things down, right? In a vacuum scenario, for example, it has to work. I mean, and it does. The line I use, and you've heard me say it, is that even mainstream science, as your normal science, Neil Tyson is a great example. He says that gravity is a magical molecular force that pulls things down to the center of a ball, and I just say that gravity is a magical molecular force that pulls things down.
Right.
That's
Yes.
that's it, right? There's really not much of a difference between the two. It's sort of like when people say, when they try to get evidence for a curved Earth, and they say, well, when you go up higher, you can see further. And I go, that's not any different on a flat plane,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You can set up a building on a salt flats, and you can still see further when you go up higher.
Right.
That works exactly the same. The exception is, you say that on a curve it's more exaggerated, maybe. I don't know, it's really weird when people jump to that, but whatever, it's
Yeah.
fine. Those are the same people that say, why doesn't the water fall off the edge,
Right.
that whole thing. I go,
Yeah.
because it's a flying Asgard, Norse mythology, waterfalls in space,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. But
whatever.
yeah, that I think all of flat earthers we clearly agree on that. It's just a there's a containment, right? That's holding the water together. So
Right,
that's not
right.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
Okay. Yeah, and recently, so I watch Nathan Oakley's debates, and over the years, like how uh, the way they narrate the things has changed. So now it's there's just stick to one thing. It's like basically we've been fighting it the wrong way. The earth is always measured flat, right? So
Right.
that's where right now the leading point is from their point of view, because we never measure for the curve. So it's every measurement, be it extent or any other measurement, it's always measured considering the earth to be a flat surface,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And there's too many areas in the world that have perfectly flat surfaces. I mean, perfectly flat.
Right.
Not just the Salar del Uyuni in South America, which is a wonderful salt flat, and that's even better because they get like half an inch of rain on it every once in a while, and then the water will lay perfectly flat on top of the flat ground. And you say, oh, and it's 100 square miles, right? And then you say, well, that's just 100 square miles of perfectly flat land in the world. It's like, okay, but it's not just the only one. You know, the entire, like in the United States here, the entire state of Kansas is flat,
Right.
almost tabletop flat. The state of Florida is almost entirely flat, which is why, you know, if there was any sort of tsunami, it would wash over the entire state. You know, there's all sorts of areas in the world which are flat. So how many areas, big areas, hundreds of square miles, how many areas of like, or thousands in case of Kansas, how many of those areas can exist before you finally realize it's like, oh, maybe the whole thing is flat, and there's
Right.
just peaks and valleys in the middle of it all.
True, true. That's
So
right. Yeah. Yeah. Now making a shift to one of the debate that I was most eagerly looking for was Shiva's debate. You know Shiva Ayaduri?
yeah.
Yeah. So he wanted to like set up a genuine scientific approach based debate between globers and flat earthers. But yeah, I think at least the people I was hoping who are knowledgeable and who can fight this from the scientific method point of view. I don't know why they were missing. They were not invited or they didn't volunteer. But yeah, I think that definitely didn't go what most flat earthers expected it to be. Right? I think.
I did not actually catch that one.
Okay, okay, yeah. So maybe I just followed him even before he spoke about flat Earth. Maybe because he talks about the way the entire ruling system is classified. But for some reason, he got into this and he said he would organize for a debate between two communities with the proper scientific method. But yeah, I see that it didn't really go well. Yeah.
Right? Was this the guy? Was this the guy? You have to forgive me. Was this the guy that got on with David Weiss for a while?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, because he's a hardcore engineer.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
he
I know
claims
this
to be
guy.
the inventor of email.
Yep,
Right.
I know
Yeah, yeah,
exactly who you're talking about
yeah.
now. It took me a minute because, oh yeah, the arrogance of that man. And he was sticking what he was trying to do was he was trying to define every single minutia of the parameters of the testing, or not even the
Right.
testing, just the qualifiers for the debate. And it's like it's like, what, just start talking about it. Don't He was over analyzing it to the point where it's like I couldn't even figure out where he was going after a while. It's like it was like, okay, so we're going to spend an hour just defining how the debate should happen.
Right.
It's like, just start going through the talking points.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Right? Yeah,
also I
no.
think the debate, the way he was trying to say is like, okay, both teams are gonna present their models, but I don't think to falsify globe you have to present an alternative model, right? That's not necessary. You just have
Right.
to disprove the current one. We don't know what the real world is, but at
Yeah.
least we can
Yeah.
disprove that.
Yeah, that guy, I'm sorry. No one should get into a debate with him because you'd start to get a headache
Right.
way before it even started. I and Look, I know I do more things off the cuff. I don't ask for people's questions. Like when we're talking to you, I don't know what questions are going to ask me. But that guy's the opposite, where he wants to have every single thing set up and on the table in front of him, absolutely qualified. And on top of that, you cannot go outside of those lines,
Right.
which is like, well, no. This is how it's going to set up. It will not happen any other way but this. It's like, okay, so he probably one of the most inflexible people I've ever heard online
Right.
ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think from his point of view, he means like that's how the actual science is done. Like, but yeah, that's good. I think probably the discussion initially has to be wide range, but once you decide on what experiment you are gonna do, maybe that's when the parameters will come into play. And
Sure.
right,
Yeah, sure, but he was again, he was so proactive in that it was off-putting.
right.
Where it was like, yeah, it's like he was making it unpleasant before it even started.
Yeah, yeah. I could
So
sense
that's
that.
and
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
Right, right. So I thought people like Nathan Oakley would have been excellent in that, but I'm not sure in terms of personalities how well they can
Oh
communicate
no,
before
those
they.
those two? No, God, no. They
Right,
would have hung up. It would have been a question. In fact, you could have bet money on who was going to disconnect the call first.
right. Yeah, I can understand, but generally, if you see the point of view, even Nathan, like straight to the point, like no fallacies. He'll bring them right
Right.
uh, when you talk about it. So, but then yeah, bringing those two
Yeah.
together
The
and ensuring
the
they have a decent conversation is really
oh,
challenging.
each of them would have been yelling at some point. You're wasting my time. No, you're wasting my time. And it's
Right.
sort of yeah. Those
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been awful. Would have been
Right.
very very bad.
Right. Right. Yeah. And recently there's been this final experiment, right? Frankly speaking, I I haven't followed much of it after the fact. So yeah, if you can brief on that,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
would
know
help.
more than pretty much
Right.
almost anyone, I think, when it comes to that whole song and dance. So yeah, all of 2025 was there was a lot of damage control after the the TFE thing. We'll just call it TFE,
Okay.
where the people that we sent, we sent Jaron and Whitsitt and Lisbeth Acosta to Antarctica with the Will Duffy team. Nothing made sense
Right.
for the experiment because one, it's like, okay, we're going to fly people down to Antarctica at $35,000 a pop to witness the 24-hour Antarctic sun. And it's like, okay. And they asked me, of course, and it's like, no, I'm not going to go. I go, I'm the last person you want to go because I don't care. 99.9999% of the people in the world don't even know the Antarctic sun exists, for
Right.
one.
Yes.
Two, and the same amount of people that don't even would never go to Antarctica voluntarily anyway. And I still have yet to find a single person that even got into flat Earth because of the sun in any aspect.
Right.
Not just Antarctica, any aspect of the sun. So taking three people down there saying, "Oh, look, the Antarctic sun, therefore that proves that the flat Earth is wrong in every capacity." It's like you're kidding yourself, right? It's never going to resonate. But yet we sent three people down there anyway. And when Jaron got back, I mean, before the wheels had even landed on the plane, he is already switching his channel over from anti-globe to anti-flat Earth. And it's like, and the part that bugged me mostly about that was he didn't specialize in the sun. He specialized in anti-space, anti-NASA
Right.
for 10 years. Right. And it's like, what? Okay. Again, the Antarctic sun, most people get into the flat Earth because of the curvature, physics, or something that has to do with the space programs. Right.
Right.
That's,
Yep.
that's one of the three. Antarctica has nothing to do with any of those. So what are you doing, right? And
Yeah.
and Jared went off the freaking deep end, and then there was a couple other people that had been out of the community that all of a sudden decided to follow Jaron. It's like, what are you doing? It doesn't even make sense to where, and then they just dropped it. to where TFE, it's like, oh, after it was done, Will Duffy realized he wasn't getting much traction on his channel. I think he only ended up with like 25,000 subs, and that was it. He's like, well, this is my last thing. I'm done. And that was it. And I knew this ahead of time because, like, look, it's not going to resonate with the general public because the general public doesn't understand it. Yes, I said for 10 years, going all the way back to 2015, people have asked me every like third or fourth interview, what's the weakest aspect of flat Earth? And I go, the Antarctic sun, because you can't have a 24-hour sun if there's only one light source. But then again, I believe in simulation theory, so you can do whatever you want with the sun
Right.
when it comes to the skybox system. So, I mean, the sun is instance. That's what I try to tell people. And yeah, yes, I know I come from a software world, so it's like you got to know what instancing is. But once you put that into play, it doesn't really make any difference. And people said, well, does that worry you? I go, no, because Antarctica is not a thing, meaning nobody cares about Antarctica. The general public, well, here's the thing, because they were trying to release a documentary on the TFE, the final experiment. And I said, you're never going to be able to sell it to anybody different from behind the curve, because because Antarctica, how do you explain the 24-hour sun to someone on the street in less than 60 seconds? You can't. In fact, once you talk about the tilt of the Earth, the axis of the Earth, the people just glaze over. They'll be like, "What? What are you talking about?" The general public is really, really dumb, and they don't get a lot of stuff. So no, the TFE thing came and went. I'm glad I wasn't part of it. Oh, it was even more miserable than I thought, as far as, because I thought, when you went down there, you'd have to get to sleep in like portable bunk houses and stuff like that, with bunk beds and stuff. Oh, no, you were in a tent on the snow. No, it was miserable, absolutely miserable. It was a place. It was a temporary camp that they set up and take down every year.
Right.
And no, so no, TFE was never a problem for me. Jaron, well, fine, he can do his own thing. But Austin's channel changed after that. I don't know what happened to him, because he doesn't. I haven't seen him do a debate since.
Right.
And Lisbeth Acosta, nobody knew who she was. She was a temporary co-host on my show. But yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Any other
But
questions?
did they genuinely record like a 24-hour sun there? I mean, there's no question in the video evidence, right? Or are there any?
I think they recorded a 24-hour sun, but then again, I don't encourage anyone to spend the money to go down there to see it for
Right.
yourself,
Yeah,
because
that eventually doesn't prove anything about the earth, though. Right.
it does not prove anything about the Earth. And again,
Right.
what surprises me about Jaron is, what has it got to do with NASA? Absolutely nothing. And yet, just 2 weeks ago, he went on record. I've got the audio clip where he goes, "Oh no, the NASA and the Apollo Moon program is the most legitimate program we've ever done. Absolutely bona fide, legit." It's like, wait, it's like, what are you talking about? That's all you did for 9 years, and you're telling me you deprogrammed yourself in a weekend in Antarctica because why? No. Jaron was compromised, and he burned down. Again, when it comes to social media, he deleted 1,000 videos off his channel,
Okay.
and now he gets no views. Nobody talks to him. Don't know what he's doing. Hope the money was worth it. I know that people have bills to pay, and I know every man has his price. But yikes, it was bad,
Right.
bad.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mark, I'm sure you have seen like hundreds of new proofs coming once you started getting into flat earth, because there's so many people doing it, and the most common being like we see too far. Like people are going and recording things that they see themselves for, which
Yeah.
ideally should have been behind the curve. So, in your most recent time, like what are the most new proofs or the new recent evidences that you saw, like you really liked?
Nothing. I mean, again, now the clues turn 11 years old here next month,
Right.
and nothing super new. I mean, there's little tiny aspects of it. Usually when it comes to space programs, we've been staring at the space program so much, that if we do find details, they're pretty small.
Mm.
One of the ones I like, I used to pick on the spacesuit a lot. I made in fact, the clue I'm kind of going over this week, because it's 10-year anniversary, we're just wrapping the whole thing up, where I talked about the want of a nail, meaning if the spacesuit is fake, if the spacesuit doesn't make sense, then anything that is tied to the spacesuit doesn't make sense. If the spacesuit is a lie, then it's all lies,
Right.
right? Because it's like if that one little thing can't be real, then nothing is real. Same thing goes when people mention to me, I love collecting. People will give me little details, like I pick on like the hair the women have in the ISS, how they always make it go straight up and stuff. But I remember the first time somebody came to me and said, "Why do they have hair at all? It's an air filtration system in zero gravity.
It's a very
Why
risky
would
thing. Very.
everybody should be wearing
Right.
shower caps. They should be wearing things that hold their hair, and they should have their eyebrows shaved. They should have, they should be using clippers with vacuums to, for arm hair and any other hair. There should be no hair flying around because the filtration systems would be awful. Um, Other little things. I mean, new clues, no, but little things that people don't understand um, is that, like you've heard of the SR-71, that plane, one of our spy planes, flies really high.
Right.
And there was a retired SR-71 pilot that was touring the country, and he said, touring the United States, and he was saying that from Arizona he could see the beaches of Los Angeles, and he was only like 70,000 feet up. Well, you do the curvature math, it's like, no, you shouldn't be able to see Los Angeles, from Phoenix. You
Right.
shouldn't. And then when he turned to his right, he could see where the Canadian Rockies met the American Rockies at the Canadian border. And that's a whole nother animal. I mean, seeing from Phoenix to Los Angeles, that's one thing. But seeing from Phoenix to the Canadian border,
Mm.
up way up there at 70,000 feet, even if you're 80,000, doesn't make any difference. It's way too far. Or, some of the other stuff that people dismiss, the J. Tolan Media, long distance photography from the planes. If you've never seen that, J. Tolan Media did wonderful stuff where he would put a special filter on his camera to cut through the haze. And he would be flying at 30,000 feet in a commercial plane, get a window seat, and
Right.
shoot long distance. And he could see way further. We're talking over 1,000 miles in some case. And the only thing that you don't get at that height, you can't get depth, but you can see some of the stuff, mountains that shouldn't be there and bodies of water just in the distance that shouldn't be there. Um, the rest of it, is stuff you already know. The
Right.
clues, I try to be as comprehensive as possible, but even in the clues, for example, a lot of people think, oh yeah, I had something to do with the long distance photography. I did not.
Right.
Nowhere in the clues did I mention long distance photography. People had to call me and say, oh yeah, by the way, you can see too far with long distance photography. I go, over water, and I go, what's that got to do with anything? They go, well, because the water lays flat. I go, oh wow, I
Right.
guess it does. So anyway, does that some of that kind of help?
Yeah. It did. So pretty much, yeah. The clues are same. It's just that more, more
Little,
experiments,
yeah,
or
little
more
subtle
observations,
detail.
we could say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the temperature of the moon, I always thought was a great one because I laughed at it,
Right.
and I'd been in flat Earth for a year when somebody told me about the temperature of the moon. That the moon generates a cold light. I always thought that was fascinating. Other little things, well, like when the military subject matter experts came out, and saying that every military system does not take into not only the curvature of the Earth, but the spinning of the Earth, does not take it into account. And yet the news people, especially in America, will every 6 months will talk about a sniper that had to take into account the spin of the Earth or the curvature of the Earth. And it's like, no, snipers, if they're lucky, shoot a mile, if they're lucky,
Right.
right? And we're talking about cannons and missile systems that fire 20, 30, 50 miles, unclassified, distances in some case. Or the world record. There was a world record sniper shot that was done here. Not a killing shot, just a target. And if you know anything about rifles, when you shoot long, really really long distance, you have to basically lob it. You're firing up, and
Right.
it has to fall into the target. It was about almost 4.5 miles. Took 29 seconds for the bullet to hit. That's a
Right.
long long time, right?
Right.
And they didn't take into account spin of the earth, curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
So if they didn't, who are these snipers that are coming on television saying, "Oh, I had to count"? Look, I shoot. Right? There's two things: windage and elevation. Those are the only two knobs on a scope.
Right.
Find me a curvature of the earth thing on the scope. Find me a Coriolis effect thing on the scope. They don't exist.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, so we know definitely all the ISIS videos are fake, but when we look at these amateur photographers or people who watch with telescope, they do see something flying up there, right?
Oh,
Of course,
there's
yeah,
stuff flying up there. Are there
right,
satellites? Sure. Are they probably on balloons? Yeah.
right,
Are there some sort of drone systems that are flying at relatively low altitudes? Yes. Is there an ISS? Probably. I mean, it's like, oh, hey, look, there's the ISS flying over. There's a light that flies overhead. Is there something up there? Yes. Are there people on it? No.
right,
Absolutely not. There's so many reasons why the ISS is fake. Some of the top ones, the interior production footage is horrible, by the way.
right,
Again, the hair, I know it's a minor point, but it's a point, which is why do you perm the women's hair to go straight up? That is not what happens in zero G. The hair flows like it would in a swimming pool.
right,
So, and we have, there's tons of videos where people, the planes, the parabolic planes
right,
rides you can go on, where women's hair flows, naturally. Why would it stick up like the Bride of Frankenstein?
right,
But the biggest thing is the engineering, which is a submarine is built, if you know anything about submarines, are built with incredibly heavy, dense amounts of steel, right?
right, yep,
Because it's under a lot of pressure from the outside, right? And
right,
if you took a submarine and put it in a vacuum of space, it actually hold up pretty well because the pressure, I mean, I know it's like, well, it's going the opposite direction, but the casing would hold. I mean, it's designed to be absolutely airtight against immense pressures. What's the ISS made out of? It's not a submarine. It's made out of plastic and aluminum and maybe a little bit of titanium. But the shell is absolutely thin by comparison. Hell, they have windows, big ones, right?
yeah,
So, and the pressure is trying to get out. Why is the ISS not exploding? The pressure on the inside that thing would be immense, absolutely freaking immense. And not and oh god, what else about it? And nobody seems to care, right? Nobody's wearing a spacesuit when they're walking around the ISS. They're wearing pants and a polo shirt and belts for whatever reason and socks. They never wear shoes. It's like
right,
what I go. If anything goes wrong, you're all dead, and nobody. And the doors are always open on all sections at once. By the way, it's another thing about not just submarines but ships. But in submarines, they have those big steel doors between
right,
compartments. They close them, spin the wheel. Everybody knows, how the
yep,
submarine doors work. That should happen to the ISS. Nope. For production value, we're going to leave all the doors open at all times. So if there's a single hole anywhere, in any of the chambers, everyone's going to die instantly. And nobody wants to address it. It's for production value. The production value that we use in theater and movies and television, that's what applies because that's what people want to see. People, it looks better on camera. Therefore that's what we're going to show you. The general public, oh, it's just they're so easy to fool when it comes to that. No difference than the Apollo missions. The
right,
Apollo missions were done in 1969, right? They were the first Apollo mission. In 1968 was when 2001: A Space Odyssey came out. And so a year later, people already in their head, it's like they were filling in the blanks with the movie about what happens with the moon and astronauts and space and everything. They do, and ever since then, we've had wonderful space reinforcement movies. Anyway, sorry, I rambled.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's true because probably I think that's why they never have to spend so much on that production because people are anyway gonna believe that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Right. Okay. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing, really fast. when it comes to production value with the moon, it was a great whoever came up with a great idea to slow down to make everyone, do the whole floaty thing, right?
Right,
It's like,
right.
oh, we're floating on the moon, right? It's like, yeah, but you're moving slow. Why are you moving slow? If it's 1/6 Earth gravity, if you weigh, I'm not going to do the kilograms for you, but if you're a 180-pound man, you now weigh 30 pounds. You could move really fast, right? Not everything is weightless. You should be just flying around there. And
Right.
yet everyone's just super slow. Why? Because the camera runs at half speed. And so that's why it's going to be so difficult and so tricky to try to reproduce that on the moon, because now you got to do it in high def. And people are going to pick up on that. It's like, oh yeah, all you have to do is, and you can do this now. You can take moon footage. All you have to do is double the frame rate, and they walking around normal. It's like, why would man who's weighing 30 pounds float like he's in slow motion? At the bare minimum, his arms and legs and everything should be moving really, really fast. Now, if you're saying that he's jumping maybe slow, that's fine. But remember, in 1969, we didn't have that sort of camera technology. So the best we could do was just slow down the frame rate. That's it. We couldn't do any CGI. We couldn't do anything better than that. That, and of course the stars issue. By the way, the Artemis program, they're going to do Artemis 2 here supposedly real soon. And Artemis 1 showed no stars. And I get blue in the face trying to tell globalists that it's like, so there are no stars in space, right? It's like, fine, you want to say during Apollo because of exposure settings, fine. I'll give you that one for free, right? But now every probe that goes into space, they pan off to the sides like there's no stars. Well, there's no film now, right? It's all digital technology. We can set the exposure to anything we want. You should see tons and tons of stars. They don't. And Artemis 1 flew around the moon, close to 50 miles, and there were no stars. So Artemis 2 with actual people, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Can't wait to see what footage they release there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And Mark, I have seen in most of your interviews that eventually the reveal will come to all, right? I mean, is that how it's gonna end,
The
or
what?
so? Uh, is everyone gonna get revealed to the actual truth
I think
by the powers
eventually,
to be?
I, yeah, I do. I think but the problem is the government's got such a great um, control over media now. I mean, social media is so tailored by the authority, by the powers that be, that they're going to try to spin it in some sort of way. And if you want to distract people and take the blame off of them, we've been waiting for Project Bluebeam or some sort of alien encounter. We've been waiting for that for a long, long time,
Right.
and it's never happened. But if it does, you can let the government completely off the hook, because you can have whoever shows up say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we told your governments not to tell you," and therefore, there won't be rioting in the streets. But yes, the great thing about social media is people are getting exposed to more and more truth. AI doesn't help matters, but at least people, for the most part, can recognize AI. AI is muddying the waters because there's so much AI content being thrown out there that it's a distraction.
Right.
Everything little. I mean, how many people do I have to watch and send me comments from? You've probably seen it. The explosive colored dye for the porch pirates, for the people that steal packages off the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
And it explodes in color.
Right.
It's like that's absolutely fake. It's all AI generated. It's No one would ever do that, and yet there's people, because people get emotionally invested. It's like, oh yeah, that's what that should happen. We should set up a explosive ink pack on my front porch, where it's like, that's like, but they'll watch them endlessly and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's great. And there's a lot of people out there still to this day that think it's real,
Right.
because AI has gotten so good. So we'll see if they use AI for the moon stuff coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they can very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Mark, what do you keep occupied yourself with other than flat Earth? Like, are there any other things you spend your time on? Like any serious topics that you study up on?
Serious topics, serious. I mean, more than flat Earth. I there are a number of forums I go to that I will revisit just about every conspiracy you could think of.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of my time doing research, honestly.
Right.
And when I need a break, I'll play a game or two. But when I'm looking, most of the time I am looking at the world. I'm scanning. I have to go through all the news services. I got to go through the American ones. CNN and Fox and MSN. Well, now it's called MS Now. BBC, Russia Today, maybe some European stuff, and seeing what's happening out there, because the narrative, what I've learned over the years is the narrative that you want to know if there's a narrative coming down the road at everybody. You'll see it, the same narrative on each news service, and they'll be parroting themselves. It'll all be identical.
Yep.
And so that's what I do for the most part. And it's like this year it's been easy because, granted, we're barely 2 weeks in to the second week of the year, but wow, it's pretty active already. I mean, opening week, it's like, oh yeah, America is going to take Venezuela.
Right.
Okay, sure, because we're doing that again and then it's like, oh yeah, we're thinking of buying Greenland. We're thinking of going into Iran. And of course, big shocker, Venezuela has oil. America will, if your country has oil, you better start liking us,
Right.
because we're coming in
Yep.
eventually. Um, Iran, we'll have to see, because Russia, the Iran Russia thing, their alliance is pretty solid. But yeah, that's basically what I do. I mean, I do other stuff. Go on hikes and do little things here and there. But I do spend a lot of time doing this. This
Right.
is what I do.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So one of the other series that got me most interested was Ever Anand. I think he goes by that name. He created the lost
Yeah,
history of
it weren't on. Yeah,
Ever
yeah,
Anand. Yeah. I
yeah.
think he just created two series, right? I think the lost history of Earth and what on Earth happened, I guess,
Yeah,
which at that time was very high in production value and the background sounds and the way he narrated. It was very
it
cinematic.
was it was good. I mean,
Yeah.
his voice, it was meant for that type of delivery.
Right.
And the fact that he did, what was it, like 8 hours or something, the big production, all mashed together. It was great. I still don't know who he is. I
Yeah.
still have never seen a picture of him. He stayed anonymous. I don't know why.
Right.
He would have been invited to conferences and all sorts of fun stuff, but we don't know who he is. But yeah, he made good stuff. Anyone that comes out that makes come on, anyone that makes any content from Flat Earth always helps. And even the trolls that make anti-Flat Earth help, because social media is about metrics. There was a producer who talked to me years ago. You probably heard me say this, which is, it doesn't matter whether you love or you hate a topic as long as you're talking about it,
Right.
and as long as you're engaged into it. I mean, come on, when the old tricks have never changed, which is back in America when like a villain would show up on screen and people would go boo, hiss,
Right.
they would, but it's like, yeah, but you're engaged. You hate the villain, but at the same time you're engaged with the villain.
Right.
And Flat Earth is like that for a lot of channels. Just about every big channel you can think of. I mean, take a pick. Everybody is talking about it because it doesn't matter if your audience, yeah, your audience may hate it. You may not be able to do a bunch of them, but they are going to be engaged, and the comment sections are going to be in there. So yeah, circle back. Uh, Iwaranon, or however you pronounce it,
Right.
he did great stuff, and people. What was great about it, he let people chop it up into smaller sections, and then that just got sent out everywhere.
Yeah.
Flat Earth in social media is now so deep in its content, and we've told kids, there's so many kids. It's not probably not the same way in India, but in America and Western countries, the half of the kids, I'm not kidding you, they've done the numbers. Half the
Right.
kids that get out of high school, they want to be media influencers. That's what they want to do, because media influencers say, "Oh yeah, look what I've done. I'm doing social media, and it's so easy to do." No, it's not. It's absolutely not easy to do. People don't understand that more than 9 out of 10 podcasts quit before their 10th episode,
Right.
and half of those quit before their third episode. So it's incredibly incredibly competitive, and but we are so deep. What happens is the kids need content because if you're, I don't know, if you're 20 years old, how much life experience do you have? Not a lot. So what are you going to talk about, right? You can do a reaction or a review. It's like you're reacting to music, you're reacting to television or movies, or you grab some sort of topic, and just invariably a bunch of them grab flat Earth, and they'll snip it up and put it on whatever platform. It's like, hey, great, we didn't even have to do anything. I'm on every platform you can think of. I didn't have to do anything. I
Yeah.
just made the original stuff. I literally only manage YouTube. The rest is done by other people, but I
Right.
don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah. So one of the movement in that series which really, like, for me personally, I felt was completely uh, goosebumps kind of thing was when
Yeah,
when the narrator says, like, he was roaming unaware of what the true shape of the earth is, and someone asked him to go and look in the lake and you'll see your reflection, and and that's when he sees the moon and realizes the earth is reflecting on the moon, and he draws all that graphics of earth. uh,
yeah.
yeah, that I think was, I think before that no one even thought about that aspect.
That was a really unusual little wrinkle, and that came
Right.
late.
Yeah.
The moon, of course, is a huge mystery, and there's so many aspects of it. Just a couple off the top of my head, of course, that it's coincidentally 400 times as wide and 400 times closer than the sun.
Right.
That it's 400 or 40? 400, I think. Yeah, 93 million. I have to look that up. 93 million divided by 200 something. Whatever.
Mm.
The uh, that the fact that you only see one side of it, it never changes even a quarter of a degree in centuries. You only see exactly one side of the moon. And one of my favorites that people miss is all the craters are set. They've got all these perfectly circular craters on the moon, like they hit at 45-degree angles,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, or 90-degree angles, and the it's like there should be, if that many asteroids hit the moon, there should be divots, there should be skid marks all over this thing. And by the way, why did it all hit the moon and not the earth? Right? You tell me the gravity of the moon pulled all these things in. Why is it so decorated? It's almost like it was designed that way. It was an ornamental piece of the clock system,
Right.
where whoever built this place, I call it God, or an advanced civilization, just decorated the moon
Yep.
in a certain way. And yes, to your point, put a slightly, put a mirror image of the world in there, and you can never see unless you're really, really looking for it.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, just like most of us get wandered in science and we go away from religion or understanding whatever we grew up with. So yeah, that's what happened to me. Now I go back and see the Hindu calendar system. They are much more aligned with the way the heavenly bodies rotate. So that makes more
Oh
sense.
yeah,
Like the 13-month calendars, and which are
yeah,
based on the moon phases. Yeah, I think.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Indian culture, by the way, always has fascinated me because the rest of the world dismisses your myths are way more detailed than ours. The whole forgive me if I'm butchering the pronunciation, the Mahabharata,
Right.
where you had floating cities and advanced technology that eventually went to war and wiped out the ancient Indian civilization. It's just a matter of fact. It's like, oh yeah, they did that. And people, you don't hear that myth anywhere else. It's only in your area, and yet the conspiracy theorists, it's like, oh, it's a second rate thing. It's like, really? Because they had flying cities and defined, really big energy weapons. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, yeah. But one thing that kind of bothers is, like, everyone wants to conform to the mainstream media findings, especially in terms of astrology. So it depends on how you read those scriptures now and how you interpret them. So
Yeah,
most prominent people, whoever general public looks up to, they try to interpret in a way so that they can conform to the mainstream media findings of the astronomy, and I think that true sense of the underlying scriptures meaning is now hard to decode, I guess, maybe.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Uh, so yeah, so Mark, that's all I had
That's
written
all you
down those
had.
questions
Oh,
for
do
you.
you have any personal questions? Do you have anything?
No, no. I mean, these days, like, whenever I get time, I just go to the terrace of my house. I try to look at the sky, and sometimes, right, maybe if I tell this to others, they'll feel it's crazy. But I see the so-called stars. Sometimes they move at like very unimaginable speeds, and they just vanish. I mean, I just see that once in a while. So I was even planning to buy some telescope and just watch. I think there are too many things unexplained up there.
Well, if you're gonna buy, you want to invest in something, you don't have to spend much money now. The next generation stuff is really good. Get some night vision binoculars.
Okay.
Get something, you can get them for under $200, some really decent ones now.
Right.
And I mean, I was told about this years ago, back in, oh God, 2010. And I was watching a British thing where the guy said, "You want to see some weird stuff?" He goes, "Get some night vision binoculars, get your eyes adjusted, start looking at the sky. You're going to see some weird things." And I thought, okay, why not? And I did. And the sky was just crawling with stuff,
Right.
stuff that you cannot see on with your naked eye, or most of the time you're going to miss it. And I thought they were satellites until I saw some of them moving in really weird formations and at speeds that defy, they're not satellite speeds. And satellites don't speed up or slow down at that sort of rate. And when I did, it was like, okay, what am I looking at? And it was cool. I never went back. I was using old school night vision that was made in Belarus, over near Russia, and it was fascinating. If you get a chance, look it up. I mean, there's some really weird stuff out there. The sky is literally crawling with stuff, and it's not us.
Right, right. Yeah, I could see that. Like, uh, every once in a year, I go to my friend's village. And there's almost no city lights after 8. It's like pitch dark,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
we sleep on terrace because it's very hot in summer. So when I just
yeah.
look at the sky, obviously you can see too many stars and just the regular star-like looking things, like moving every now, like probably once in 15 or 20 minutes, I could see one moving like too fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. And what's fascinating, you're exactly right. What's fascinating about that is they are about the same size as stars at that altitude. And so you don't, and basically what I would do is I would take night vision, I would just look at a patch of sky where nothing was moving, and I'd wait for something to come across.
Right.
And almost always it was about the same size of a star. However, I would run into every once in a while something that was flying way, way too low. And yeah, I'm a huge, big UFO believer. The Americans would love to convince everybody that we were the one, that we're behind it. It's like, oh yeah, those are all probably our secret military. It's like, no, man, these things have been seen for a long time, way before the United States was even a country. And you've heard me say again, you want to look up the biggest UFO event that we ever recorded was the 1561 Nuremberg event. Look that up on Wiki if you get a chance. Over Nuremberg, Germany, where two giant, basically flying aircraft carriers came in and started doing battle over the city for an hour. And then a third faction showed up, and a big, black angular ship, and chased them away. And it raises so many questions. It's like, okay, who were the first two guys? Who was the third guy?
Right.
And were they law enforcement? Were they the UN? Who, what, and how? And of course, my big question is, what was the response time on that? Right? I could shoot a gun out this window. There'll be cops here in under 10 minutes,
Yeah.
right? And yet you could have a full-blown military engagement over a major city, and it took an hour for someone to show up and break it up. Blows my mind.
Right. Right.
Anyway,
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah,
well,
so before I got into flat earth, probably I was looking into more of other financial side conspiracies, or not conspiracies, yeah, you could call them like how our money control system works.
right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's when all our current fiat-based monetary system, right? Like we're printing out of thin air. It doesn't matter to them. It just number on the screen. They can print as much as they want.
Yeah,
So
fiat.
that's yeah. So that's when
Yeah,
I
that.
I pivoted to Bitcoin. So right now my entire energy goes in studying these two topics, Bitcoin and flat Earth. So what's your thoughts on Bitcoin like?
Oh, dude, you don't want to get me started on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, it came from a very dark, evil place,
Mm-hmm.
which was Bitcoin started out as the big currency. I mean, I know the banks use it, but the reason why people are buying it and selling it now is because it is left over from the true dark web, which was a site called Silk Road
Right.
back in the day, where I knew about it way before it was popular. And what was happening was there was a place over in Europe that was hosting servers where you could basically buy and sell really bad things, and you had to pay for it with Bitcoin because it was untraceable,
Right.
right? And so, but you could still have stuff shipped to your house. So if you wanted to buy, I don't know, a bunch of machine guns and some heroin, and maybe dabble in some white slavery. Oh yeah, totally. You could do that and just pay for Bitcoin. Well, Interpol finally showed up and shut the whole thing down, but Bitcoin remained
Right.
because people were like, and then people realized it's like, wait a minute, this could actually be a commodity in itself. It's the ultimate fiat currency, really.
Right.
And so people started speculating. That's all it is. I mean, Bitcoin, the worth doesn't change. It's not like, like sugar or wheat or gold or silver.
Right.
It's digital encryption packets. They don't change in value unless you speculate. It's basically a giant casino that's never changed. And no, fiat, Bitcoin is, I have never gotten involved in Bitcoin. I'm not going to. Yes, eventually it's going to crash. People, fortunes, and it never stops, by the way. It runs 24/7.
Right.
And so you've heard the running jokes. You're going to buy a boat by lunch and then you're evicted by dinner. It can rise and fall that fast depending on what you're getting. Plus, there's so many people that, because, okay, couple things. 99% of people that invest in crypto do not even know what it is.
Right.
But I'll
Yeah.
explain it to you, right? I'll
Yeah,
explain it to you
but
right now.
normally, if you talk to a Bitcoin maximalist, they don't want Bitcoin to be clubbed with other crypto because, in terms of uh, principles, they are completely different. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the people that get suckered in to the unsecured crypto. I mean,
Right.
it's still a game. It's like the Wild West out there. There's so many people that are investing in it because it's like people don't care as long as it makes money. That's one of the things about the human condition that drive me nuts,
Right.
which is like the American stock market is going to hit 50,000 this year. I almost guarantee it, right?
Mm.
And the question is why it was at 7,000 during the financial crisis, not that long ago. And
Right.
now it's 50, and people don't understand why. I go, well, because one, the government quietly said we can buy unlimited bonds, and then they followed it with the government now can buy private stocks in unlimited quantities, which, as you know, is takes the whole printing money, the printing money machine up to a whole new level. They can back any stock they want. They can raise or crash any stock they want at any given point. They manipulate the currency markets
Right.
to no end, and yet there's something coming down the pipe. I don't want to turn this into a doom and gloom thing. There's something coming this year, and I don't know what it is. It feels like a military conflict, but I can't tell because gold, as you know,
Hmm.
there's no way it should be that high without some sort of profit taking dip. And it's never happened, right? That somebody's behind the scenes is saying to the big players are saying buy gold and don't sell it,
Right.
right? When have you ever seen that? Right? When it hit 2000, it's like you should have seen profit taking. It was like hits 2000 and drops back down to 1400. Like, nope, 2500, 3000. What are we at now? 4500? Close. Is it like
Yeah. Yeah.
43,
In
4400?
dollars, I guess. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's nosebleed territory. That is unheard of, the amount of money that gold is. And silver is, I think silver is going to hit like $90 an ounce. And
Right.
still, as you know, for decades and decades, people are like, oh, silver's never going anywhere. Apparently it is now. So, yeah, between that and the fiat currency, again, America, sorry, one more thing, the history lesson, which is the fact that we basically invented fiat currency, which is, people don't know. Fiat currency means that the currency is worth what we say it is.
Right. It's not backed
Not,
by anything. Yeah.
not backed by anything.
Right.
And it's like, well, and when we came up with the idea, when we told the Middle East that all oil should be bought in dollars, that was brilliant
Right.
because it made sure that the dollar was always in demand, always. And now,
Right.
granted, we had the military to back it up, right?
Right.
That's basically what fiat currency is. It's like we're basically pointing a gun at you and saying our money's worth something. Say
Right.
otherwise. And any country, by the way, that tries to go off the dollar, when tries you've seen this, any country that has tried to buy oil with something other than the dollar, they get bombed. Just they get attacked for no apparent reason, and we will just make up reasons for it. So anyway, yeah. Sorry, long rants in all sorts of different directions, but yeah, crypto. It's too volatile. It's too dicey. It's too corrupted. And for the kids, I mean, come on. You really, I mean, and anybody can build their own crypto, as you know, right?
Right.
You can
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Anybody
can build your own
can
crypto,
launch
and
their own coin. It doesn't stop
yeah,
them.
you can mine your own coin, and it is too tempting, especially for young men. It's like when all of a sudden your IT guy goes, "Hey, that server right there, that's 10 feet from you. That server's worth $20 million right now, right? How long does it take for the people that hold the keys to the office to be like, so if I wanted to leave and go to a tropical island somewhere, I could just take that with me?" It's like, yeah, dude, but you wouldn't want to. Well, it's like, why not? It's like, well, because the investors will come looking for you. Right? And some of these people that invest, as you know, in crypto, they're not the greatest people in the world, right? If I was doing crypto, if I even knew for a second I had Russian investors, I would make sure that server was protected behind an iron vault because the people will come for you. The people. Sorry, long story short, people steal crypto. It happens all the time. It is too easy, and everyone thinks it's an original idea, or they'll do the rug pull on crypto. It's like, oh yeah, it's good. The thing about crypto is that behind the scenes, especially if it's a new crypto coin, there are people that's like, oh hey, let's set a date and time or an amount, and when it hits this amount, we're pulling it,
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty much for most centralized coins where you don't have much liquidity and there are
Yeah,
few players who can make those big moves and yeah.
yeah.
But
And if you're on the outside, you're going to get burned.
right,
You're
yeah, yeah,
going to get burned.
I completely agree with that. But when it comes to Bitcoin, it's completely opposite of crypto. That's what because I studied even Bitcoin for more than 10 years now, it's right from its early days. So even if you look at its beginnings, right, it started out as a system that's truly decentralized, so there no one entity or one person or one nation can control it, right? So
Right, right.
isn't that like better money in terms of freedom compared to our current fiat monetary system, like
It is okay.
right,
It is. And I see where you're going with this. It
right.
is better in a perfect world,
No
right?
censorship, right? So you can, you're not gonna censor, they're not gonna like close your accounts because you have wrong thinking. That can't
No,
happen, right?
no, no. It is an interesting currency in that in a perfect futuristic society, oh, it would work absolutely wonderful.
Right,
However, human beings, as you know, there are all the bad things, all the vices in our world deal in cash.
right,
And that's never going to change. You're not going to have someone who's addicted to heroin popping out their phone and paying for it with Bitcoin. At least I don't think they are. I mean, who knows? Unless there was a total reset. But even then, uh, yes.
right,
Do I think Bitcoin's going away? No, I don't. It's
right,
got its place. It's definitely out there. I think as an investment, I think it's way too. I would never encourage anyone to invest. It's like, oh, I'm going to throw my life savings into Bitcoin. It's like, what?
no,
Why?
yeah, yeah,
Hey, if you
I
want,
definitely encourage that, but once they study, I think that decision they have to make, yeah, they have to spend time in first studying and understanding what it
there
really
you
is.
go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
not
it's
without proper knowledge of it.
yeah,
Right.
I agree. It is as far as diversification, sure. I mean just about every person I know that's in heavily into stocks, they've got something into Bitcoin because why not? Right? Again, if it's making money, it seems like, but they're also picking the really stable. right? They're picking something that there's no chance there's going to be a rug pull. The part that gets me is, again, kind of the Wild West, where there's people starting their own coins, and they're convincing investors. It's like, oh, it's a sure thing. Again, Robbie, we people in our community, which you've heard me talk about on different things, people in our community, that it's like, oh, it's a sure thing. You're going to get 50 times your money back. It's like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. So
who?
so in that sense, yeah. So except for Bitcoin, everything else is no go for me. I
Yeah,
advise the same
yeah,
thing to my friends and family, and even Bitcoin. Like, yeah, do it with proper understanding, because I feel that's one freedom tech I strongly
yeah,
feel, because of the underlying nature, the way system is built. Because China has tried 10 times to ban it, and they realized they can't do it. So
yeah,
all the thing governments can do is they'll try to regulate to their best possible ways. Um, but yeah, because that's one thing is it's fixed supply, right? For all the other crypto, I don't think the supply is fixed, even for the second best one, Ethereum, right? So I don't
yeah,
think they have a limited supply. Whereas
yeah,
Bitcoin, it does have that hard cap, and the true decentralized nature is what makes it, I think, a good freedom preserving tool. Of course, like as you mentioned, Silk Road was, that's how Bitcoin got famous. I feel it's, at the end of the day, it's a tool. Like, it's up to humans. Like, do you want to use it for good or bad, right? Right.
yeah, yeah. Again, it yeah, it is. It's not going away.
Right.
It is potentially a good thing, but yes, to your point, you've got to do your research before you
Right.
get into it, because the people that just blindly, because what happens, you've heard this, it's like a new coin comes out and all they'll do is they'll reference Bitcoin or whatever the stable thing is, and it's like, oh, it's just like that.
Right.
It's and people and because people don't understand the whole blockchain and anything has to do with it anyway, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, he seems trustworthy. Yeah, let's do that. And it reminds me of the American 1929 crash. And there's been a number of people that have done videos on this, where back when in 1929, of course, there was no Bitcoin, but they had something, a brand new thing called margins. Margin trading,
Right. Right.
which is, you could use spend $100 and get $1,000 worth of stock.
Yeah.
Great, unless you lose, then you still owe the $1,000.
Right.
And if you don't,
Leverage is always bad. I would
yeah,
never.
and but most of the people in the stock, I mean, the parallels are very, very similar back to 1929, 100 years ago now, where people were betting, using the stock market as a casino, and they were betting with the house's money. But the house, it's like, oh no, oh, so you lost everything? Okay, we're going to take everything you got. And
Right.
it didn't matter what it was. It's like bank accounts, cars, house, whatever. We're grabbing all of it. And the people were like shocked. It's like, wait, that's how it works? It's like, yeah, that's how it works. So the people that invest in Bitcoin now, it's kind of a different version of that. I'm sorry, not Bitcoin, but any sort of,
Right. Yeah.
coin,
Yeah.
where they're betting on something, and they don't understand. It's like, no, there's so many ways that it could be rug pulled. It could be quote unquote hacked, which is just another freaking rug pull.
Right.
It could be straight up stolen,
Yeah.
right? Where all of a sudden you can't, you go to log in to whatever and the portal shut down. It's
Right.
like, what happened? I don't know. But the VP of the president are missing. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
I
what?
mean, that's true. If you're storing your Bitcoin in exchange, let's say in US you have Coinbase and a lot of other exchanges, right? So
Right.
when you leave your exchange on that Bitcoin, you're trusting them to hold your keys securely on behalf of you. But
Yeah.
but the true power of Bitcoin is, like, I can take the self custody of the private keys, which allows me to spend my coin, right? And
Yeah.
and I don't even have to remember that alphanumeric string of numbers and characters, because that's humanly not possible.
Right.
So in Bitcoin, when you set up a wallet, it gives you like a 24 English word seed, using which your entire set of private keys will be regenerated. So in a
Yeah.
lot of countries right now, it's even for people who are like being suppressed in their own nations. If they want to live with their wealth, there's nothing else they can live with. If they have Bitcoin, they remember their words in their mind, and they can escape the borders with their wealth. I mean, there are net positives and negatives, but yeah,
Hey, if
Right.
let's sum it up with this.
Yeah.
If you're making money off of it, great, fantastic.
Right.
But if you're making money off of it consistently, you probably know what you're doing.
Right.
I do the
It's
casual
too good to
user.
be true.
Yeah, casual users should be watching a lot of tutorials on it and then think twice and then talk to somebody that's already in it.
Right. Right.
Because coming in, do not let your first Bitcoin thing be tied to a salesman that you've never met before or a
Yeah.
friend of a friend.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Don't be
totally.
always suspicious. It's like, oh, dude, my buddy got me into blah blah blah.
Right.
Because yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. I definitely encourage everyone to at least spend few hours into understanding how to securely protect your coin for yourself, and then get into it. Like, don't trust anyone when it comes to that.
right, right,
I mean, recently, I'm not sure. There's this guy called Simon Dixon. He's a he was in UK. I think now he's in US. So he started his career as an investment banker, and he saw the flaws in the financial system. So then he moved to a monetary reform committee, thinking like he could make the changes.
yeah,
And if you understand our current banking system, right, like it's a fractional reserve system where they don't hold 100% of your deposit. They lend it over. They just hold like 5 or 10% of your deposits. So
right,
he wanted to beat that, and he wanted to create a 100% reserve bank. All he wanted to do was take customers' deposit, hold it 100%, and they refused to give him a license because it exposes the lie of every other bank, because they want everyone to fractionally lend money. So
yeah.
so if you watch his story, I mean, that's most recent one, but yeah, as you
Yeah,
said, like,
send me the link. But yeah,
yeah,
I know what you're talking about because,
right,
and of course, the fractional lending, you know full well that that is set up for disaster.
right,
If it, if because if one thing fails, it all fails.
correct,
Going all the way back to again the financial crisis, the too big to fail
right,
moments. I don't know how old you were back then, but that was horrible. That was awful, awful, awful. I mean, the stock market just took a tanking, and we lost. I mean, there were big. I mean, the fact that Lehman Brothers is gone,
right,
right? And, an investment house that was as old as the Civil War here in the United States, and they were basically sacrificed because it's like, nope, nope, you're just the last man out in this game of musical chairs, or the fact that Countrywide, this massive real estate mortgage company, massive, massive, massive. They were like, nope, gone, just wiped out because they were part of the problem, all because again greed. Ugh,
yeah, yeah,
the greed. It's like
yeah. So
I know. Let's sell houses to people that can't afford them.
right, without
It's a,
down payment, no down
yeah,
payment,
yeah,
no credit
yeah.
rating,
Let's
nothing.
adjustable rates and oh yeah, you get in for cheap, but those when the balloon payment comes, you're gonna have to move out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All they wanted was fees. That's all they cared
they
about.
did, and they got them.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
anyway, anything else I can do for you?
No, no, Mark. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you need anything else, thank you. By the way, where are you in India?
I'm in southern part of India in a city called Hyderabad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
I
it's
know it's
one.
getting a little late for you. Isn't it like 1 a.m. down there?
It's yeah 12:50 a.m. close to.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, it's a little late.
No, no,
Uh,
it's pretty normal for me. So I stay up late at night studying something, reading, watching. Yeah.
gotcha. If you need anything specific, or you want to talk to anybody else, let me know. I've got contact information for everybody.
Sure.
But it was great talking to you. And if there's any other resources you need, I'm easy to find.
Definitely, I'll reach out to you, and thanks for your help.
Yeah. Happy to do it, man. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. You too.
Bye bye.
See ya.